welcome to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you Crisis at Steamfall from the designer of Assault on Doomrock. As you can tell, we don't have a box. This is a prototype copy, handcrafted actually. A lot of it's wooden bits, which is kind of cool, little laser cut dealies. But I'm told the actual production game will be cardboard. Now, just to get it out of the way up front, we were sent this prototype for free. However, we have not been compensated in any other form, no money or anything like. Well, he did pack the box with candy, so you know how much bias you think we have based on a handful of Polish candy.
Which was delicious.
It was.
By the way.
It was awesome.
Thank you
candy.
very much.
No denying that. But, you know, if you think that makes us biased, so be it. Feel free to skip the summary. I mean, the point's the gameplay anyway. So, now, in Crisis at Steamfall, we will be doing 2 gameplay videos because the game has 2 distinct and very different game modes. A competitive mode, wherein narratively you actually cause a massive crisis of sorts through the process of winning the game. And yes,
I went and reread the synopsis or whatever. Yeah. So essentially, you're playing with ancient alien artifacts that you have no business playing with.
Whereby you cause the crisis. That then you play the cooperative game to resolve
the crisis.
So you basically cause a massive world-ending dealie, and then you gotta fix it.
That's somewhere in between robots. Saying it's somewhere in between robots rising and a robot uprising and a zombie apocalypse.
Okay, so now, so in the intro here, we're just going to cover the rules that apply to both game modes. Starting with one of the basics here, or something I consider absolutely fascinating and a heck of a lot of fun. Sorry for the opinions outside of the summary. The action column system. Can you see the board?
Yeah.
Okay here? Alright, so as you can see, there's a series of little squares underneath the columns here. Well, in the columns. And each column has either 2 or 1 boxes over it. When it's your turn, you will choose a column to activate and fill one of those spaces, thus in some cases rendering it unusable until, you know, the round changes. And you will take all of the actions currently placed in that column. So in this case, if I were to choose this row or this column, we just call it an action tree, but I'm trying to stick to the actual terminology for this. If you choose this column, you would have 2 movement actions and 1 violence action. I'll go into what they do in just a second. Whereas if I were to choose this column, I would have 1 positive mood, 1 charm, and 1 movement. Now what gets really interesting is, at the start of each of your turns, you're going to choose one of the myriad, these are just a handful, of available actions, and you are going to add it to a column of your choice. So I could take this little manipulate hand here, if you can see that, and add it to any of the 4 columns, like so. Now, the one restriction is you're not allowed to place anything in a column that would stick it past the bottom edge of your board. So this would not be a legal placement because it's sticking past the bottom of my board there. However, this would be acceptable because it's nice and flush there. This creates a lot of decision space right there because you can't move them. So if I fill this column with another boot, I've got 3 movement, which can be super powerful and super useful, but once I get where I'm going, I have 1 shooty gun and nothing else. Also, if you say jammed a whole bunch of movement over here, like so, then you might find yourself in a situation where you use it, get to move like crazy, and then until a new round, can't move much at all again, which can be a big problem. Having that big super awesome move, great, but then you're a little stuck. Or if you're really needing some angry hats, as I like to call them, or bad mood. So we keep mentioning mood. What's that all about? Eesh, I am just clumsy today. Your mood essentially tracks, how happy or unhappy your character is. This matters because at any time on your turn you can choose to reset your mood to 0, and every one of these little groups of icons that you pass on your way back.
You might want to tilt it for that. The icons are a little hard to see.
So we've got the little sets of icons here. So every one of those groupings that you pass over on your way back to 0, you gain for that round. So in this case, if I were super happy and went back to 0, I would gain 2 or 4 hats and an engineering, which can be a huge game changer when you do it.
Yep.
Suddenly getting a whole ton of symbols for next to nothing. And same deal with the bad mood, where when you reset, in this case, he would get 4 guns and an investigation, which is very cool. The guns, or violence. What's that?
I mean, if we're using correct terminology,
it's violence.
It's insight.
Oh, insight. What did I just call it?
Investigation.
Oh.
you went Arkham on us.
We tend to make up our own little goofy names for everything. I can't remember the last time we had a sci-fi game where we didn't call it Space Bucks, no matter what it was in actuality. But anyway, so insight is kind of like a currency of sorts. You use it for a variety of stuff.
Yes.
But essentially think of it like a currency. Movement is movement. That's pretty self-explanatory. The little hand here is manipulate. You use it to pick up objects, and in some cases you can use it for things like, say, charging an object. An object will tell you what can be used to charge it. We'll go into that more in the gameplay.
Yes. Well, and also some objects have a cost to play.
That is true.
That can cost a hand.
Now, the little sinister face and happy face are just to change your mood, either, positive or negative. The hats and the guns are violence and charm, respectively. These are used to manipulate NPC characters to, join your team or whatever. Or, in the cooperative mode, violence is used to fight the mechanized, the bad robots that are doing bad robot things. Kind of like the Borg.
Yes.
Except not the Borg. Not that copyrighted, legally distinct entity. Different. More different. And then we've got engineering. Engineering is very cool. It's used for a lot of devices to power them, to play them, to do a variety of other stuff. I really like the devices. So
he's very enamored.
That's the actions there. Then you've got your neat little tokens. You've got your insight, both in singular and double. Oop. I just cannot hold things today. And then we've got, what are these little guys called? Do you remember?
Scrap.
Scrap. Ah, yes. 1 scrap and 2 scrap. And you've got your NPCs, and on the reverse side, the mechanized for the cooperative mode.
Yep.
And you've got
there's
steam and energy and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, we don't need to go. Ooh, boy, oh boy.
Oh, sorry for that technical difficulty.
A little bit of a catastrophe there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that should probably be enough for us to get going. We can cover the rest as we go along.
Yeah.
So that should be enough for that. So let's go on ahead and get on over to whichever gameplay you choose to watch. We'll be filming competitive first because it makes more sense that way. Gotta cause our catastrophe.
It is actually recommended in the rule book to play it.
It is.
Competitive and then
But you can watch them in whatever order you want.
Or play in whatever order you want.
There you go. Alright, so let's get on over to that.